back to another episode of Journey to Self. This is episode 10 of season 1, which means it's a wrap, baby. Can't believe it. I'm too excited. Hope you guys have been good. I have been great. I feel a sense of accomplishment. Umuntu esefike kulesi sigaba sokuba a podcaster, and seeing something through. Today's episode, yithe as vale ngezothando. Yabo Lord, because I don't know about you. I've been able to trust uNkulunkulu with every part of my life. But it's like, no, God, I surrender to you, and then I'm just like, I went to kanje, so I always take back the control. So it's an area in my life I wouldn't necessarily say I struggle with, but hey, you move from abazali bethi boys date stay away, they bring babies, to now I'm 34 and they're like manje akekho nje nozovela mhlambe inkomo thizeni, so the in between of all of that, uqala ucabanga ukuthi uyingane, next thing people are viewing you as makoti and you're just sitting there like there's no prospects. There's no prospects, or the prospects are just mediocre. But for me, I've gone through different phases when it comes to relationships. So I have a background, Vele Sondo, and we get taught to be a Proverbs 31 ladies. But I feel like the church really pushes the narrative. You're being groomed to be a wife, and not necessarily would have a relationship with God, and He may gift you with the gift of umshado or not. But now it feels like we put ourselves on this timeline. Yoguti, at some point I need to be someone's wife, and as this cat is hamba, you should have a partner, so the dating scene, I was obsessed with the one. Like, that would approach me, I'd just be like, could it be? Could it be? And it has not been, so there's that part. But also, it was a thing that I realized, my early relationships, I would impose relationships to God, and I'd be like, hayi sengimtholile, ngicela uyibusise lento esiyenzayo. So I would always rope uNkulunkulu ekugcineni, where I'm learning now with him, no, actually He needs to be the fundamental foundation of everything, because He's the one that orders my steps and so on and so forth. But in navigating the relationship space, I also needed to acknowledge ukuthi I had daddy issues, and I think that's also part of what Journey to Self has been for me. Ukuthi before I was able to even accommodate a partner, I needed to realize ukuthi I may not know how to receive love. I may not even know how to give it properly, because even nasekhaya, my examples of imshado or what a male's love looks like, I didn't necessarily have that foundational exposure. So I was sort of like winging it. So I mentioned in previous episodes, what do you bring to the table? And I was just like, I don't even know, So there was that part. But also in figuring out, I have daddy issues, I realized that those daddy issues also translated to God. My biological father wasn't around. So how am I supposed to navigate that? What does that even look like? So I didn't even approach God as a father, I think it was more of like, I was told but I didn't have an intimate personal relationship with God. So I was also a person that tried to force God on guys. And I'm just like, how we are so doing? So I was very judgmental. in some relationships as well, because I felt like, I mean, I was superior because now I'm a God-fearing woman and it's a privilege to know me. So I've had to experience a lot of humble pie when it comes to relationships. And when I started dealing with my daddy issues and then building a new relationship with God, where I literally started seeing him as a father, I then had to realize, Wuti, I needed to cultivate the relationship with God so that he can cultivate a relationship with me and introduce me to how I'm supposed to navigate the space. And it's been a tug of war to some degree because, as I said earlier, I would think, I said, but God, let's do this. And then I feel like if I like a person, then I'm gonna impose it on God. Ukuthi avele approve ukuthi this is the person that I'm supposed to date. So generally, I haven't had bad relationships. They've been relatively decent. I've met quite a few. Hey, I'm saying that man, Peter saying it's a very small number, mom. In case you are watching this, but I've come across very nice gentlemen. It was just a disclaimer. But I've come across very nice gentlemen, but also I've also experienced relationships or many situationships rather. I don't think it was ever distinguished. Where you see with no man, the fact that I had accepted this behavior, it speaks volumes on how I don't love myself. So I had to also get to a point where you can't even blame the guy now because he's been consistent in his inconsistencies or not having that much interest in me. But I look at it more, and not even in the aspects of begezela, but just like there were behaviors that umuntu oyithandayo as a person wouldn't accept and accommodate. So once again, I'd had to take a pause and not date because now I had to sit with the fact of what in me feels like I'm able to tolerate such behavior and why do I feel like I'm deserving of that. I've just realized, the daddy issues is so layered. It's so layered in how you approach relationships and how you as a person perceive how you should be loved, or to some degree you self-sabotage because you're just like, no, you're too good to be true. Why are you being nice to me? What's your agenda? So I had to heal all those parts of me, and then there were also relationships where you get into the relationship. It's not a bad relationship, but this can't be all there is. So it wasn't even a situation of infidelity, but it was just like, God probably has more for me. But my biggest struggle when it came to relationships was that I've always wanted a God-fearing gent. And for the longest time, the God-fearing gent came with as long as you go to church, then you've got a relationship with God. And then, you could be the one. But now it was like when I had to take a pause from church and then like build a nice intimate relationship with God, I was just like, actually, relationship with God is the first priority, and then, you can go to church and so on and so forth. But I needed to experience someone who has a personal and intimate relationship with God, who is accountable to God first before me. I can just be one of the benefactors of him having a relationship with God, but generally, maybe call up, but I don't think they were just invested, So in like intimacy with God, it was just like, I know, God does you, but that's one part I have not experienced where I'm just like, oh my goodness, he's leading through Christ and he's submissive. I found that I've been more anchored than the gent. So yeah, that's one point where I'm just like, the next one, because I'm single, the next one has to be someone who I really see Uti, they live their life being accountable and navigating life with God, so then I benefit the fruits of that relationship, but I'm not like an idol to them or whatever. In terms of marriage, I wouldn't mind getting married, but I am conscious that marriage is a gift. And if it's in my path, then great. But for the fact that I'm single, it's very hard for me to see that happening. But you know, um, I found that also as I get older, every birthday they're just like ingane, ingane. So as you get older, people start really like asking you to why are you single? Why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? And and for the longest time, I was like, ingane, I've never had that thing with, oh, one day I'm going to have these kids and I'm going to adore them. It's always just been a thing of which if it happen. I think just like marriage, if I'm graced to have it, I'll have it. But I don't necessarily feel like my life is incomplete just because ingane ayiko in the picture. Anginayo no pressure. Because people are just like, oh, next year it's 35. I serve the author of time, and if he feels like I should have a child, then great. But also, food, I don't want a child out of wedlock. Because I ain't trying to do this motherhood thing by myself. Not necessarily what if you married, you never end up like a single parent or whatever, but I think I would like to have a family setup that I never had. So those are those things that I'm navigating now in this age. But I've also prioritized, just like how I've explained, so I've been prioritizing family relationships, with friendships and so on and so forth. I've also just been honing in kakhulu with my relationship with God because ngangibona ukuthi when I enter some relationships, I distance myself from God. And I think sometimes it was also because mhlambe ngiyabona ukuthi akayibusisile le nto engiyenzayo, so I didn't necessarily even have the confidence ukuthi awubusise le nto engithi ngiyayakha la, because I wasn't building with him. So now I'm really actively creating an intimate and intentional relationship with God. I read a chapter of the Bible every day, doing my 3 a.m. prayers. So I'm literally just immersing myself in him to hopefully one day he'll bless me with an extension of him in a human form. But because I'm not a pressure. Like, one thing about me, I want to be happy, and if I'm not happy, then I'm telling you, she made it, because I don't want to. I don't want to experience love as just the sake of, I don't want to be in a relationship just because I want the next person to blow me away. Like, I can trust my heart, I can trust my spirit. But okwamanje, I'm very content being single, enjoying it, and also just I'm really trying this time around to just let go and let God, because kwesinye isikhathi thina we get consumed. Sithi mhlawumbe ngifuna ne-six pack, ngifuna lo, like, so there's a lot of, I don't necessarily want to say shallowness, because you do want to be attracted to your person, but it's easy then would know as much as I would want to be committed. It's easy is no childish. So yeah, that's where I am with relationships. Definitely want to get married. Definitely want to be committed, but single and immersed in the Lord. Praise Jesus. You heard that, Mom? Immersed in the Lord. Let's get a card. And give me as a homework. Today's card reads as, when was the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone, and how did it make you feel? Once again, that's for you, but yeah, guys, I feel like we also need to come to the realization that marriage is not going to be for everybody. And just because there's no marriage in the cards doesn't mean that your life is not successful or fulfilled. You'll find fulfillment, and I just think, do not now rate yourself low ngokubona ukuthi hey angisanayo i-ring, because we do run the risk of idolizing marriage and maybe withholding ourselves from living because we're just like, no, I'm only gonna travel. Maseng no muntu. I'm only gonna do this. Maseng no muntu. Lapho time is ticking away, and remember you have fruitful relationships that are platonic around you that you could be navigating and just really immersing yourself and just bonding with your family, and releasing it. So if it's mine, it will come to me, and if it's not, I will still feel fulfillment and feel like life is still fruitful with or without a spouse. Because also for the parent, nabafana banganing nuts and disbanding soldier. We must be very realistic with our expectations, but also if or I do believe that God will navigate um that for you, but also it also means just like how we're called to die to self and sort of like kill our flesh so that our spirit can be the one that reigns so that we are in alignment with God. Marriage is also another space of dying to self. So I don't think it's something to take lightly. So kungabi nje ukuthi hayi ngishaya umnyaka othi ngithole ingane ngishaya umnyaka othi ngishaya. No, I just really think it's something that should be what you're ordained to do so that you can get the grace to do it. Khona nje this other time, I think a week ago, khona nje esekhulisa izithi nje liyazama ukushela and so on and so forth. Waphasha ukuthi vele ukhona. And I'm just like, oh, automatically phela isikhala sami asikho because ngiyaphi. I really think Nazi as females and males, we really need to get to a point where we value ourselves and what we want and desire so much that we don't end up settling or conforming. It's unnecessary. We need to enjoy this life. We really need to live and live it with people that allow us to thrive, allow us to be ourselves, allow us to keep growing and evolving and morphing into greatness, but not at the compromising of our true essence. But life is to be lived and life is to be enjoyed. But on that note, it is the end of this episode. Thank you for sticking around the past 9 episodes. I will see you when I see you. I thought I was gonna get a break, but unfortunately, to my one, you're already planning my next shooting days. So, season 2 is gonna be grander and better with guests. It's gonna be a whole revamp because my one is out of the setup, and later my ideas are just on overdose. So, but anyways, ngiyabonga, ngiyantanda, nibe nje nempilo eqhakazayo, ephuma njengenguyane, but anyways, I really hope this also encourages you guys ukuthi if you have anything that you want to start, just start. I was just looking at even today when I got to studio to record today. I'm thinking the first time I recorded, I was so nervous. Uyama nomuntu uNkulunkulu, that's all I'm gonna say. Bye-bye, it's been great. It's not for you, Mawanda, just so not you, Ducky. Bye.